Now, like I said in the last rant, these are conversations based on the chapter that it represents. So background information, inspiration, how they came to be, all that background stuff. If you don't like these videos, I don't want to waste your time. It's probably best you go do something else. But if you're into background stuff, story creation, character creation, all that sort of stuff, this is a video for you. And I hope you enjoy. This will be part 2 of chapter 42, based on the other 4 playable characters, missing or minusing the 9th character, the Dragonborn, which was planned for one of these chapters, but it became a bit too long. I thought it's best to focus on those that made the world before the Dragonborn came into it, and leave her for another day. But I do hope you guys enjoy this background information, and we'll get right into it. So this chapter starts at the 15th, right? So this would have worked perfectly because during the 11th, Cecilia rocks up at night and ends up fighting vampires, kills a vampire, and she's confronted by Sigund, which, you know, I don't know why I didn't bother to even try and have like a weird sort of, I sense that weird person, but maybe she did, maybe they did. It just wasn't really talked about in the heat of action of being over a dead Stormcloak. But this one's kind of on the miscellaneous characters and the 2 legal guild characters, right? This was actually done first. So I started chapter 42. This was going to be like part 1, but I thought these are all miscellaneous characters and background characters. Let's kind of do another one with, you know, Sigurd, Centauros, and the 2 illegal guild characters. That'd be kind of nice to go with that one. But this is Celia's, you know, time in winter during Skyrim. This is the most dangerous time of her life. She, you know, never before has she seen so much carnage. Like, winter's winter, but now winter's filled full of organised bandit vampire clans, or vampires turned by the Volkiev clans. There's civil war, and now there's rumours of dragons, and many people have seen them, and she's heard so much about it. But she does eventually see one in this, and it scares the shit out of her because, you know, she's very confident. She's very set in her ways. She doesn't mess around. She's been here for 200 years. She's very skillful, you know, in both the sunlight and the darkness. And for the first time in 200 years, she's really scared for the whole fate of Skyrim and even herself, having doubts that she might even live through it. And she's grown very comfortable and, you know, praises Zarita, who's only like 22, 23 years old, and not also a vampire. She's amazed by her level of skill because Zarita isn't just a new vampire, but also relatively new to being a vampire. She's only been alive for 20-something years, where Cecilia's been alive for a good 228 years or so, something like that. And so, since this is the first time she's teamed up with a vampire and trained one, she's kind of, well, in this story, she's, well, let her guard down a little bit, you know. She's been very straightforward her entire time as a vampire. Hunt and kill Daedra and their worshippers, and hunt down those that, you know, that cause people, you know, that are willing to kill people. Those who have forfeited their rights to live, because they're going to be my food. That's how I survive. And at the same time, I'm not feeding on the innocent, and I'm cleaning out Skyrim of its bad people. So this is how she lives her life, and it's been the exact same way even with Freya. You know, she would leave Freya there one night when she was hungry. She'd go feed once a week on bandits. But even when Freya grew up and disappeared and eventually came back, Cecilia went straight back to her job, and she's been doing that. She hasn't had a partner for a long time. Her last partner that she was with, laid in a bed with naked, was the Holy Crusader, which we'll see in future Oblivion storytelling. And Cecilia comes from the Empire, and I see them as kind of like, they don't give a shit about who you sleep with as long as you're loyal to the Empire. So a lot of them can be bisexual, or straight up just gay. So it's not really mattered. And she's you know, I thought about, should I make her bisexual, but at the same time, she's with a vampire she spends a good 99% of her time with, and this other vampire was in a relationship with a woman, and I consider her a proper full-blown lesbian, has missed her and has felt, you know, and has kind of rubbed that affection off on Cecilia clinging to her since her love Rivoli is gone. And this is kind of the only time that Cecilia has trusted someone that's like her and has given in to the idea of, what if I, you know, like maybe it's been a long time since I've done this and it's new to me because I haven't done it in 200 years. And she decides to because it's gonna, you know, they're both fighting the same fight. They're both the same people. They're both vampires. that were forced into becoming it, and now they're fighting against evil and stuff like this. So I decided to kind of break Cecilia, and this is kind of where I kind of want Freya to do it, but I don't know, it kind of seems a bit weird. They're not related, and Freya doesn't see her as her mother. She sees her as a mother figure, but I thought about it, and it could still even be a thing, because it's kind of weird, because, she doesn't age, but she raised a 10-year-old to a woman, and that woman is now like 29, 28 years old. But it's kind of like a taboo sort of relationship, which all good stories have one, but it could be a thing for the future. But she, if she's going to risk her life every day now with rumours of dragons and vampires, she might as well enjoy it while she can, and so she decides to lay with another woman that is fighting the exact same fight, and she's able to enjoy sexual pleasure once more after 200 years of not having it. And it's probably the longest time, and even this is the first time in my playthrough that I've actually gone through this on her. She's a Terminator, mate. She's just straight up murk bandits, kill Daedra, this and that, repeat, rinse, and it's just the same thing. So now she's allowing someone that's just like her to kind of be into her life a bit more personal than just it being a work relationship. They might as well, if they're going to be living with each other and training with each other and hunting together, they might as well be with each other when they can, when the time is right. But that's kind of the way I want to go with Cecilia. Wasn't much special with her. She's just out there doing her job during winter. I've actually no idea why it's not snowing right now. I didn't actually realise that. Maybe this is before then? I don't know. Actually, this is actually the first time I realised it's actually not snowing, eh? I can't believe it. I didn't actually notice it. Maybe because I'm always with night vision on, and it's just a problem to see with night vision. But he's alive. Whatever. But here we are, we're back in winter again. Man, so these edits you don't really realise until you actually physically see it. I've done this a few times where I've had to watch, I'm watching through a video and I realise something is off. This is just a simple story about Cecilia, and she eventually sees a dragon for herself, and the fear lights up in her eyes, and it's kind of like she's immortal again, like she can die. She's got no power to save herself, because this is a dragon, She's good with a sword and a shield, and she's somewhat immortal, but she's a fire hazard, pretty much. She can catch fire pretty quick. But I'm going to leave it to her, and I'm going to jump to the next one, which is one of my favourite characters, especially cosmetically, because she is absolutely gorgeous, badass, and her gear just suits her personality and character so much. We got beautiful Freya. Now, Freya, she's actually a full-blown lesbian. I'm doing the Star Wars Disney thing, turning everything into a lesbian fanfic. And I think the reason behind that is because she grew up pretty much looking at Cecilia. She didn't really grow up anywhere else. She trained with Cecilia all the time, and she just liked the look of a woman. She liked the look of her, and she's got a massive crush on her. And she always kind of has. But again, it's a different relationship. They're both now adults, but she hasn't tried because she just doesn't want to risk upsetting Cecilia or losing Cecilia, because that's the closest thing she has to a mother. A vampire that raised her, even though she was a Daedra worshipper and this and that. And they're pretty much, they hate both sides. This werewolf was taught to hate vampires, and Cecilia was taught to hate Daedra worshippers. But again, Cecilia's compassion decided to raise the child instead of letting the child freeze to death or killing it. So she grew up very much like Cecilia. Instead of, she'll use her claws a lot, like you can see right now, but Cecilia trained her to rely on her steel before she relies on her claws, because a hunter will, a hunter will wait for them to turn werewolf so they could, turn their strength into their weakness and stuff like that. And if you come, if a hunter's chasing Freya, she'll bring the axe out. So very good character. I love her. If you're interested in like a barbarian werewolf sort of character, I'd check out early chapters. They're pretty cool because she's a very fun character to beat. She's got the exact same voice as Sigyn, but again, we're in Skyrim. I kind of wanted her to have that voice. There's not really female voices that I can really get away with when it comes to this sort of character. I want Freya to kind of look like she's been around, like she's travelled the world for quite a few years on her own. So there's not many voices that really do that. Female Eventone's already used a couple of times. Female Nord was probably the best bet, because the female Nord sounds like a warrior. It sounds like someone that knows their shit. So she was the first pick for that voice. And female commander sounds like an older voice, like in the 40s, 50s. So by a mature woman that knows her shit. But she's doing the exact same thing Cecilia's doing. She's out there claiming bounties, doing jobs, this and that, hunting. And you know, she sees she sees a dragon in the distance, or she hears a roar. She's like, what the shit? And she goes to see what it's all about, and she's like, holy crap! And she runs back home and stays home. So this chapter's kind of miscellaneous characters in a way, where it's chapter 2's. I don't think it's nowhere near important to chapter 1, and that's kind of why I went back to make chapter 1. So put some main characters in it, but I kind of like the guild characters. We're going to get to those. We're going to jump over to the Minerva. Well, first of all, I want to see, like, I love the helmet now. When I first created her, I wanted to do both the Daedric quests that help the Daedric dogs, you know, the werewolf and Barbas, because she's kind of a Daedric dog herself. She's a werewolf. So she helps Barbas, and in that, she gets the Mask of Oil. She gets the axe by killing the werewolf hunter that killed her family. So it's not exactly the choice reward, you get this weapon or that armor. I don't like that. So she got the axe in a different part of her story, and her sort of before her story starts, she killed the werewolf hunter that slaughtered her entire pact, and so she already had that. And then when it was time to do the Barber story, her reward for that is as the mask. But it actually comes in quite handy, because like, I thought it was just like, before the mod I got to change the mask, I never really ever used it. It's just an item that sat on the bench. It was shit. But with the mod that came out that changed it, it made it look so much cooler. But again, it didn't really fit the barbarian style until I meshed it, or I mashed it into a bloody ancient Nord helmet, which looks cool. But with her battle axe, some of her kill moves are basically put the axe behind their neck, drag them in, and headbutt them to death. And those horns, man, are quite effective in that sort of thing. Like, they look like the practicality of that mask became so much better that now those horns are actually used for headbutting people and splitting their heads open, because it is a Daedric mask, which is cool as shit. Like, it's so much more immersive now, and I love that about the horns coming out of her helmet. It's just a boom boom headbutt, you're gone. But we're going to jump over into Minerva because, well, I like her. She's a very spunky elf. Now Minerva here, she's one of my favourites. She's actually, I changed her looks, but she's actually built from a different mod author, Cloud of Truth, I'm pretty sure. Maybe I binged it, but I changed her appearance to fit more my aesthetic. And the reason I chose to play as an actual NPC follower was because I don't know how to make healing followers, but Minerva does. So when she's part of Team Dragon Ball in the future, and they're taking some hits, she'll have healing abilities. So not only is she a projectile attacker that she'll attack dragons from the sky, she'll also heal the group, so less of them die. But dragons in my game will be quite fearsome, and there's a good chance that she won't be able to heal them enough to really deal with a dragon attack, because they're quite vicious. But she's a very unique character. She's a Nord at heart, I guess you could say. She loves Skyrim. She loves how the Nords are so down to the bare bones. She was the first person to fight a dragon in Skyrim. And she's also slept with a Daedric prince. So she's done a lot of wild shit. And you know, she loves Skyrim because the Nords are so companion-like, so hearty, so sort of friendly to those that they trust. You know, it's all about companionship. It's all about the best in people, and that's why she loves the Nords. They're just down to earth, and she kind of hates that they sometimes don't trust her because she's a high elf, and they automatically think that chick's an inquisitor. It's very much like the 9/11 days when you saw an Arab, you know, oh shit, that's a terrorist, and so that's kind of the way they see her. And until they get to know her, if they give her the chance to get to know her. But she's an explorer, she's an archaeologist, she's a very talented mage, she's the archmage, she's about exploring the world, basically learning some spells that she was given a while ago by Ferelda to learn more powerful spells, because she's always looking to improve her skills, especially destruction, since she's a pro at it. She was a natural born destruction mage, and if she can make it even better, then great. But even so, she's always trying to find a reason to leave the college and go out and explore for a couple of days or a week and get out and about, because this is just what her nature is. She's an explorer. She's kind of a nomad, but again, being inside the college, she's got responsibilities, and this is kind of one of the things I wanted to show, how she's just an absolutely ruthless mage. Like, there's really no messing with her. She's also a very practical mage. She's got blades, she's got magic, she's got survival gear. She's not just going to walk into a tomb with just her magic. Again, she's a survivalist. She will come packing what she needs. Now, she actually does fight her dragon, you know, because she's fought one before, but it was a pile of bones. It was much easier to kill, and so she thought, well, it'll be something similar to this, right? But no, she ends up fighting a dragon, and it doesn't go her way. I mean, this dragon is just a spell. Her spells are doing absolutely nothing to it. She's getting absolutely butchered by it. She's got to run. If this landed, it's just laughing at her pretty much. It's playing with its food. So pretty much she'll run, because You know, survivalist. There's no point in staying to be cooked and trying to prove a point that's not going to be proven. You might as well get the hell out of there and take for the hills, because it isn't a wise decision to stick around. Especially, you know, she's seen one, but now one's actually heard her blowing everybody up and shit, and it's investigated, and you know, its creatures, her creatures, have already started attacking it. So he's like, yeah, right, let's fight. But she'll live, she'll get out of there, and she'll head to Markarth, where she's going to rest the night. You know, it's a very fortified city, and winter's a dangerous place because it's freezing cold. You know, and the night time is definitely not forgiving. Plus, there's vampires, so she'll go to Markarth because the place is actually warm, but it's also very well secured. And she'll bump into somebody from a quest that I did like a year ago or so. I've been waiting. I've walked past this motherfucker so many times on other characters that I'm like, damn man, I wish I could walk past her as Minerva, because I forgot what his name is, but he's the dude. He's the dark elf that was basically a companion of the woman you find dead inside of a DLC dungeon. You got to find an Ethereum Forge, and she had a accomplice. She had someone that was like a student of hers, but he stole all her gear when she died and claimed it to be all hers and stuff like that. And yeah, I've always walked past him on as different characters, these mercenaries, but I always somehow find that he's always in the Markarth Silverblood Inn. So I was like, alright, I'm not going to spend days trying to find this guy. I'm just going to go to the Silverblood Inn and see if he's there. And he was. Now, if you haven't got any Ethereum bits in your inventory, he won't attack you. He won't. Or he won't come up to annoy you anyway. But if you got any Ethereum gear on you, he will come up and he will ask you questions. And regardless of whatever answer you give him, he will try to murk you. Now, I was like, how does that make sense if a dude trying to kill you in a populated area and full of witnesses? Well, maybe it's because some people are willing to do absolutely anything they have to and suffer whatever consequence they have to be spared either on the court on their lie. Now, he claims all this information he learned about Ethereum is his, but he stole it from Katarina, and he can't afford anybody knowing the actual truth. So he's willing to suffer the consequences of murder if it means that his secret is kept safe. And of course he decides to take a fight with a very dangerous, very prolific destruction mage, who's the archmage of the College of Winterhold. He doesn't really know that, but he pretty much, it's like a African man running up behind a rhino and slapping it on the ass, you know, and not running away. It's pretty much what the fight's like, you know. You got absolutely maimed, butchered. One eye spiked to the guts, he was all over. His mercs were dead. And that was pretty much just her story in the midst of winter. She's out there exploring because she didn't do it she hasn't done it the last couple times. She stayed in the college. Just the reason she went to the college was because of winter. She wanted to study some magic before she went back out to exploring, and the events leading to the Eye of Magnus happened, and she kind of stuck to the place. And I've always imagined a very future of her story, and I'll get to this one day, but that her story will one day lead her to maybe she's in Skyrim for like 23 years after the events of the Dragonborn. But, you know, the cool thing about it is that maybe one day she becomes a Psijic mage. She leaves the College of Winterhold 20 years later, and she becomes a Psijic monk, something like that. But, again, we'll just we'll leave this here, and I'll jump into the next character. This fire effect, I actually kind of forgot about in the first one, but I kept it around for the second one. Anyway, we get to Tonrock. Now, I don't get much time with him. There's not many jobs I can really do as him as a mercenary. You know, it's not much there in Skyrim to really capitalise on just a mercenary playthrough, unless it's for companions. And I was able to really show him off as the Harbinger, 6 months, or I don't remember how long it was, and also show off Octavia. Last time we saw her, she was training the companions to learn to survive, so she would never be put in the position she was in the, when she was kidnapped, and her family was killed, and she was raped, and whatever this, and she was trained, and she stuck around Ayala. And Ayala basically gave her the choice to join her because she saw that she could definitely become something great. And eventually she decided to join in the Blood because, no one's going to kick her out. No one's going to kick Ayala out of the companions. She's the oldest one there now, oldest serving member. And, it's no longer a requirement under the Circle to join the Blood, but if you're a warrior and you want to join the Circle, you can still have it if you want it. It's like play a vampire. Play accept a vampire if they were honourable and of good deeds and stuff like that. Well, that was an error. I'm going to have to fix that one back up. You know what? That's just a simple matter of maybe the Empire took it back. Because, like I said, I made Chapter 1, I made Chapter 2 before Chapter 1, so in the next chapter, I'm just going to have to make sure that the Empire takes it back. I have to remember it. Because this is like the 15th and that's the 11th, so maybe, because the Civil War is always changing, so even though there's, even though there is, you know, winters here, it doesn't really stop the Empire from still attacking. Their fortified spots are the Markarth and Solitude, obviously, because it's very important, but also Morthal's kind of out there in the open, but it's dangerous territory with the swamp in the winter. But again, the Civil War's still going to change. It could be led by a Northern Legion that takes it over, and that's probably what I'm going to have to do now, because I didn't really think about that on the way out. But it is what it is. I'm not going to change anything because I really can't edit at this point. I deleted all the files. But we'll just change it to that the Empire is taking it back because they're the Legion. They're not going to take this shit lying down. But anyway, so. Might have been earlier to it. Anyway, this is just an update on Tonarok because I don't get much time of him, and also an update on, you know, I forgot her name. I forgot her friggin' Octavia. And I wanted to show him off a little bit more because, you know, I don't get much time with him, and he's one of my least favourite characters because I play Warrior, so it's kind of, it's just different for me because he's got a two-handed weapon instead of a sword and a shield. But I don't get much time, there's not much to really do with him, apart from Companion's quest line. And I bugged out my game, so now the brothers don't give me, the twin brothers and the companions don't give me quests anymore, because I failed a mission. One of the clients died, and I handed it in, and so they won't give me missions anymore, which sucks, but I just get over it by, I use the missives mod, and I use the bounty hunting mod, like notice board and shit like that. But I just want to show him off a bit, I wanted to show him a bit of carnage, a bit of fun, you know, he's out there, he's doing jobs still. He's, you know, he was slaughtering those Forsworn, man. Like he's got a hunger for death, but like the Contractor does. But it's not to kill innocent people and bring in fear. It's more along the lines of he wants to kill people that deserve it. You know, those who have it coming will be having it coming, you know, and so that sort of thing. And he's always eager to put someone down that needs to be put down. He's a big fan of that. So he'll slaughter the Reachman because he doesn't like Bretons, but he also doesn't like magic. So it's two in the one. And the Forsworn are savages that, you know, pretty much sacrifice children and innocent people and do all sorts of heinous acts. So he wants to kill these guys, and he's going to be swinging his blade, having a bit of fun with the Forsworn heads. So that's kind of where I wanted to show him off. I want to show him, you know, kind of out there wanting to kill some people, you know, but kill people in the right way, not like the Contractor. He's a naughty boy. But yeah, have a bit of fun with him. You know, it's good to get more characters, and we'll see a lot more of this fella and the rest of them. Isn't the Contractor in the Team Dragonborn when they all their stories kind of lead into the one path. You know, this is kind of how I wanted the game to start. I wanted like a family tree without any incest, where they all start off at different parts of the graph, and eventually down the you know, a year into the story, their lines start to come side by side. If that makes any sense, you know, they start to interact and. Like a power conduit, pretty much, if you've ever seen one of those before, but they all come together, and it's kind of that kind of story. But it was good fun playing as him, and just, man, running around cutting Forsworn up. Like, this just felt brutal, it felt savage, and it felt like a lot of fun. Anyway, I want to keep this chapter short. Now I've got to go and make sure to take back the Dawnstar before that happens. Shit. Anyway. We won't have to worry about that until we have the next chapter. Maybe the Empire takes it back. Maybe they'll lose it again. Who bloody knows? But it's an editorial thing you can mess up, but also recover in the future. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. And remember, if you do enjoy this, to comment and like on the original videos, the ones that, you know, the actual chapters, because, you know, commenting and liking helps it get to the algorithm more, and more people that like this sort of storytelling will see this that have never seen my channel before, and they'll come along and they'll enjoy it too. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you like it, like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. I'm out of here. Guard yourselves, and catch you in the next one.